In this series, we'll talk about explosion-proof, the ATEX certification, and its application in hazardous environment. We'll be covering the following topics. We'll begin with an introduction to what is an explosion-proof. Then we'll talk about its certification, which is the ATEX and IECEx. Then we'll move on to how is the hazardous area is being classified. It is classified by zone, by gas and dust group, and the temperature class. Then we'll talk about further intrinsic safety, and I'll show you how a plate would look like if the equipment is ATEX certified. Then we'll spend a minute or so talking about pneumatic hoist, which is in our offer, as well as explosion-proof lightings. Then I'll close by summarizing and introducing our company and our other products. So let us begin by an introduction to explosion protection. Now, the general objective is to reduce explosion risk. It is to keep processes and equipment safe when handling flammable substances. Now, this can be further breakdown into gas groups, into dust groups, in order to reduce explosion risk. Okay? Now, there are three measures of explosion protection. Number one, the primary, is to avoid or to reduce the creation and propagation of explosive mixtures. The secondary tier, it is to reduce or to eliminate the ignition sources. And finally, the tertiary tier, it is to limit explosion through flame-proof enclosures. Yeah, there are different types of enclosures which I'll touch on in a while. So, what causes an explosion? Now, if we can look into this illustration down here, the first factor would be oxygen, which can't be avoided since oxygen is in the air. Number two is an explosive material. Now, this can be certain gases or certain dust that can be present during certain processes. It can be during the manufacturing, it could be during the process, during the transport, or even storage. The third factor is the source of ignition. Now, this is the fundamental of ATEX. All ATEX certified equipments are to control or to eliminate the source of ignition, which brings us to preventing spark. Flammable fluids includes alcohol, acetylene, propane, hydrogen, and gasoline are amongst the other many types of gases involved. Now, if you were to talk about dust, it is said to be from wood, sugar, flour, and aluminium. Now, these are fine particles of dust that can be extremely combustible. Now, when substances like this are mixed with oxygen, these combustible substances can form an explosive mixture. Now, with the presence of an electric spark, an explosion may occur. So, let us look into the certification involved. The ATEX directive from the European Commission, it is set to cover equipment and protective systems intended for use in potentially explosive atmospheres. For the manufacturer, In order to produce or to manufacture an ATEX certified equipment, we are to comply to ATEX 114. As for the workplace or for the operator, they are to comply to ATEX 137. That is very related to the HSE requirement of workers. Now, let us look into ATEX marking. That is very distinct for gases and for dust. First, you need to have the compliance mark, the ID number of the notified body, the ATEX symbol, and the ATEX marking. This Roman numeral means non-mining. 2 means it is for Zone 1. G stands for gas. This is the type of protection, and because it is for gas, it is 2B. T for temperature class, and GB EPL, which is the equipment protection level. As for dust, the compliance mark is that, the ID number, the ATEX symbol. Now this is for non-mining as well. And for information, if it is a Roman numeral 1, it is for mining application. This stands for Zone 1. If it is a 3, then it is for Zone 2. D stands for dust. This is the type of protection. This is the dust group 3C, which is conductive dust. This is the temperature class, and this is the equipment protection level. Now, let us look into the zone and equipment protection level. For gases, you have Zone 0, Zone 1, and Zone 2. Zone 0 is more dangerous or more critical than Zone 1, and Zone 1 is more critical than Zone 2. And the first table here refers to Zone 0. In ATEX, it has this marking, Roman numeral 2, 1G. If it is on IEC, then it is GA. And this is the type of protection that can be found in the Zone 0 equipment. It is further divided into electrical and non-electrical. For Zone 1, ATEX, it is Roman numeral 2, G. In IEC terms, GB, and this is the EPL. For Zone 2 gas, in ATEX is Roman numeral 2, 3G. In IEC, GC, and this is the EPL. Now, similarly for dust, instead of Zone 0, it is known as Zone 2-0, Zone 2-1, and Zone 2-2. And similarly, Zone 2-0 is more dangerous or more critical than Zone 2-1, and Zone 2-1 is more critical than Zone 2-2. So, similarly, for dust, in ATEX is Roman numeral 2, 1D. So instead of G, it's now D. And in IEC terms, it is known DA. So instead of GA, it is now DA. And depending on the electrical protection or non-electrical protection, these are the EPL. And similarly, for Zone 1 dust, ATEX, Roman numeral 2, 2D. IEC, DB. And these are the EPL. For Zone 2 dust, in ATEX is Roman numeral 2, 3D, and IEC, DC. And these are the equipment protection level. Now, let us look into the gas and dust groups individually. We'll begin with the gas zones. The first two, methane, are for mining application, or you could see Roman numeral 1. In ATEX, you have the M1 and M2. In IEC, MA and MB. Now the difference is M1 is more stringent than M2. For example, if an equipment is classified ATEX M1, then it can be used in M1 and M2 environment. If it is classified M2, then it can be only used in M2 environment. Moving on, we have the zone 0, 1 and 2. Now these are non-mining. In Roman numeral 2. For zone 0, where the combustible substance are continuously present. In ATEX 1G, in IEC GA. Zone 1, where the substances are likely to occur, then it is 2G and GB respectively. For zone 2, where the substances are unlikely to occur, or in other words, during maintenance, then it is ATEX 3G and GC in IEC. Now we look into the gas groups. For 2A, you have these gases. So in it, you'll see ammonia, xylene, propane, for example, amongst the other many types of gases involved. For 2B, it has ethylene and ethanol. For 2C, it has the surplus of acetylene and hydrogen. So 2C gases are more dangerous than 2B, and 2B gases are more dangerous than 2A. So the highest spec would be 2C. Now similarly for dust, zone 2-0, 1D, DA, where the combustible substance are present continuously. For zone 2-1, is likely to occur, and 2D, DB. Zone 2-2, unlikely to occur or during maintenance, then 3D, DC. For dust groups, it is known as 3A. 3A has combustible fibers. 3B has non-conductive dust. And 3C are for conductive dust. And similarly, 3C is more critical than 3B, and 3B is more critical than 3A. Now, let us look into the equipment groups and temperature class. For equipment group 1, it is for equipment intended for use in mines. Okay, so this is for usage in mines. Group 2 is for gases. Group 3 is for dust. Now let us look into the temperature class. You have the T1, 450 degrees Celsius, T2, 300, T3, 200, T4, 135, T5, 100, and T6, 85 degrees Celsius. Now what does it mean? Let's take this for example, T3. If your equipment is rated T3 or 200 degrees Celsius, that means the surface temperature of the equipment does not exceed 200 degrees Celsius. Okay? And I'll take another example. Let's say you have a T6 equipment. Okay? The equipment is rated T6. Or if it is dust, then it can be written as such, 85 degrees Celsius. So let me just remind you, if you see this value, it means the surface temperature of 85 degrees Celsius it does not exceed. Yeah, it does not exceed 85 degrees Celsius if it is rated T6. So technically, if you have a T6, then you can actually apply to all temperature class because it is the highest spec available. Now on the right hand side here, this will show you the flash point of gases. So for example, let's take kerosene for example at 210. So flash point of the kerosene at 210 means that it does not combust if the temperature is lower than 210. Once it has exceeded or reached 210 degrees Celsius, then it has reached the flash point where the kerosene may combust. Okay, so the gases and its flash point are as follows. Now this page shows you an in-depth protection concept. Let us begin with electrical gas. So for example, if your equipment has the flame-proof feature, then this marking may show DA, DB or DC depending on the zone. Similarly, say for non-sparking, then it is the same. For electrical dust, if you have an enclosure, then this would appear. For non-electrical, if it is a control for ignition, then the reference could be found here. All in all, if your equipment is ATEX or IECEx certified for explosion-proof usage, then you will be able to see this plate on your equipment. You have the manufacturer details, the type, serial number, verification body, the ATEX marking, or in this case, Roman numeral 2, non-mining, 2, zone 1, protection against gas and dust, just to recap. If it is a IECEx, it will appear as such. And these are the additional features that I've mentioned. And this is the temperature class of the equipment. In Asian Pneumatic, we have two products that are explosion proof. We have the Pneumatic Hoist from Toku, Japan. It is operated by compressed air, 4 to 6 bar. It is ATEX certified for zone 1 or 2, and these are protected against gas and dust. Now, compared to a more conventional electrical hoist, the air hoist or pneumatic hoist is more compact. It needs lesser maintenance. Its effective capacity are from 140 kilograms to 30 ton. Separately, there's a manipulator series that is for light applications that require fast and continuous operation. Now, if you're in the automotive assembly, then this would be very common. The pneumatic hoists are extensively used in such areas. There will be a separate series on the pneumatic hoist. In Asian Pneumatic, we have the explosion-proof lightings as well. These are from Raytec, UK, and it has very easy serviceability. It is very tough and durable, and it has been accredited as such. There are different models available: the flood, the linear, bulkhead, bay, and crane for each application. For information, this picture is the linear type. All options are available for zone 1 or 2, and there is an emergency variant available as well. These are ATEX and IECEx certified. And would also like to take this opportunity to introduce our other products. Now, aside from explosion-proof equipments, We specialize in compressed air system, where we have the Kobelco compressors from Japan, the oil-flooded series, the oil-free series, and we provide a one-stop solution for compressed air system, where we design and supply the compressors, the dryers, the filters, and the tank. And we offer optimization service as well with our PFC, where it is to reduce artificial demand and saves energy for the entire compressed air system. It provides a pressure stability to ±1 that will result in a very stable compressed air supply. So thank you for listening to our series on explosion proof, the ATEX and IECEx certification. Should you require more assistance or more clarification, please contact us as such. Thank you.